Welcome back to the Manor. Julian McBain here, and this is my 67th Saturday vlog. It's been a hot minute since I've been in Entropia Universe, and I contemplated whether I'd be doing Entropia for the vlog or if I'd be doing more Fallout 76, which there will be more Fallout 76 for those of you who have started watching my channel due to the Fallout 76 stuff. Never fear. I wanted to come back to my core product here, or my core offering here for a little bit, though, because there are a lot of my viewers are here for Entropia Universe, and I totally get that. I do appreciate that. And today we're out here hunting berryclid now that Mayhem's over. I actually skipped out on the majority of Easter Mayhem. It was something I was going to do, but then the Virtueverse thing started up, and it was for the same period of time. Unfortunate. I do wish they had been spaced differently, but as someone who loves to test games that are in a imperfect state, you know, when they're in an alpha state especially, because the point of playing games at those times are to break them or to find the things that are broken so that the developers can fix them. And so I skipped out on Easter Mayhem, which it's a thing, you know, it's not a big deal. I'm kind of sad that I've missed out on it, but it is what it is. I did my videos on Virtueverse. I'm not going to rehash all of those here, but I do think that it's a good game, or it has the potential to be a good game. What they've got so far is good. I can't wait to see what they do with it. That being said, I love Entropia Universe too, and although I do need to take a break from it from time to time because I play it, when I play it a lot. And it's good to be able to get that break and do other things from time to time. And after diving into Borderlands for the better part of a year, and I've got Borderlands 3 to start here pretty quick, which I had planned on starting already and haven't yet, because life kind of got in the way. And I still have to finish the DLC because I ran into a really stupid area. But something I've discovered recently is that we all have things that we go back to. We all have things that are our rocks. You know, when everything else is falling apart. Or no, I can't even use that because my life is actually in pretty good shape, all things considered. You know, I'm actually working. A lot of people can't. So I shouldn't, that's not what I'm bitching about. But when challenges erupt, which my life has been challenging lately, that's what I should be saying. We all have things that we fall back upon. And for me, Entropia Universe is one of those things. And I don't think there will be a time for my foreseeable future where that won't be the case. And I think part of it's because of the sheer scale and scope of the world. The fact that it is an MMORPG, and so we can interact with people from other countries and do frequently. Fallout 76 is great, but you can only interact with up to 20 people at a time. And half the time, you're probably going to be shooting them. Which I dig. Okay, let me rephrase it. Half the time, I'm going to be shooting them. Because I've started hanging out with Lore Spade. Actually, the irony is, I've not been in a game with Lore Spade. I have done one with Nukiko O'Reilly. I did find out, however, that a level 12 really can't do any damage at all to someone who's level, like, 100-something. Who knew? Yes, I know it's obvious. It's fine. I'll get better. Gotta start somewhere. But for me, I've realized that Entropia Universe is kind of like my rock. It's my default place to go. Virtually. Of course, I have in real life places that I go as well. Some of which I can't go to right now for obvious reasons. Like fencing practice. Fencing practice is one of those things that I do because it's because it's a way for me to blow off steam, to be honest. And I really enjoy it. But we can't do that right now. Which is really unfortunate, not only because I like to fight, I actually rather love fighting, but because it means I cannot spend time with my students, who are also among my closest friends. And to me, that's one of the worst parts of this whole situation, is that we can't be close to those we want to be close to. You know? Not the least of which is my lady, who we normally arrange around this time to be able to see each other, because she's still in Texas dealing with work and family things, just like I'm in Vermont doing the same. But we can't travel right now. She's working her ass off too, because she works in grocery. And I know that I have hard days. Like today was actually kind of rough because we were having technical issues and dealing with people in general. But I believe right now grocery is the second hardest thing to be doing in today's world, right behind healthcare. Right behind healthcare. I think grocery is the second hardest job to have. And I did grocery for a long time. Like 10 years. And as a kid, when I would go see my father, I would have to help out in the store, because that's what the family kids did. I was expected to inherit the store, so I learned the trade at like the age of 10. I was probably 12. It's probably closer to 12. Oh, hang on. So, yeah, because my youngest sister was born while we had the place. And I'm 10 years older than she is. So, yeah, I was 10. I was 10. Learning how to run a store. Of course, dumbed down to the 10-year-old level. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't doing complex invoicing and figuring out product lines to sell. But I understand grocery. That's the depth of how I understand grocery. So I get how hard it is. And I gotta tell you, and I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore, because I know that I don't think there's a single person in grocery right now that's only working 40 hours a week. Or I'd be very surprised if there was. I mean, you do have those jobs that are only part-time and that, you know, there's no way that they can do anything else. But I mean, like if you're a manager, a supervisor of any sort in grocery, you have long days to begin with. And now it's 100% worse, because you're probably short-staffed. Everything's high stress. You're essentially exposed to danger constantly, and you got to deal with people who don't know how to handle situations like this all the time. And even your crew may not even really know how to handle this. Maybe you don't know how to handle this, but you're stuck there having to handle it. It's being in the suck. When I was in emergency services, back when I was in the Civil Air Patrol doing search and rescue, and back when I was a firefighter for the year-ish that I did it, when the call goes out, you're in the suck. And you're in the suck until it's done. And right now, we have a lot of people that are in the suck that have never had to deal with the suck in that manner. And the fact that they are able to get up every day, deal with a level of stress they were never trained to deal with, and do it all over again 5 days a week. Because there's a lot of training that goes into being in emergency services or doing search and rescue. You learn how to handle the suck. Come on. But when you're not trained to handle the suck and you're just dropped into it, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine what I would have felt if I would have had to handle some of the situations I've handled without the training, without the mental preparation. You know, I've had to walk up a ladder without using my hands, with the expectation that I would have to walk down it again. I'm pretty sure I did that too. Yeah, we did that too. Walk down the ladder without using your hands. Frontwards. Because you'd be expected to carry somebody over your shoulder. We didn't have any weight on that day. It was a first time run for that cycle, but I have trained to deal with a mass pandemic. I've said this before. I went through training back in 2010 with the Vermont State Guard to do avian flu, H5N1, which has a 60% mortality rate. And going through that training, I have gone through training to deal with nuclear and radiological disaster. All of that training prepares you to deal with the suck. Even if you're not actually experiencing the suck, the muscle memory is built in. It's like fighting. The muscle memory is built in. Your brain knows what to do. Even while it can't process the actuality of what's going on around you, your brain knows how to act. That's the truth behind how that training's for. It has nothing to do with preparing you to deal with the trauma. There's no way you can prepare yourself for trauma without deliberately subjecting yourself to trauma. And that's what special forces do. They deliberately subject themselves to trauma voluntarily, so they are prepared for the trauma of the future, because then they can gradually move into it. That's all that is. You know, SEAL training is deliberate suffering to push the limits, deliberate trauma, so you know you can deal with that trauma in the future. And no, I've never been to SEAL training or anything like that. I have not been offered the privilege, mostly because I never made it into the federal forces. Actually, 100% because I never made it into the federal forces. And that's on me. But it doesn't mean I haven't been through extreme training. Not that extreme. Let me rephrase that. The Tiger test is pretty extreme, but it wasn't SEAL extreme. It wasn't Special Forces extreme. Being prepared to deal with your people on your team not being able to function anymore. But I think there's some value there that I don't think that we don't think about in our day-to-day lives. And I think that's part of the reason that it's so stressful to the people that are on the line now. Like, healthcare workers are trained to deal with things like death. You can't be in the medical profession and not be prepared to lose a patient. You don't want to. It's terrible when it happens. But it's just like being in the fire service or being an EMT. Eventually, you're going to lose someone. And now these people in grocery are facing up to the fact that they're in a job where they're exposed to the possibility that someone could get sick. And so, thinking about it, first off, if you're a grocery worker and you're watching my channel, you rock. If you're a healthcare worker and you're watching my channel, you rock. Without you guys, we would not be able to function anymore. But I think this speaks to something else that we've lost. And I've mentioned it before, and I've been reading a lot of books that kind of allude to this, and it really kind of snaps into my head. Because we don't prepare ourselves to deal with the suck. We as a society do not prepare ourselves to handle the suck when it happens. We have moved so far away from our rougher origins. Things like rites of passage, ritualized suffering. And I don't mean in the way of like deliberate torture for no reason. I'm talking about basically mandated training regimens. You know, Native American tribes would require their children to go through hunting training and fighting training, and each tribe had their own way of doing it, some more extreme than others. And it's true of all indigenous peoples that had to deal with the suck on a day-to-day basis. Rites of passage to prove that you're an adult. These things not only taught us how to deal with the harder truths of, the harder days of life, because they're going to come, but they also gave us purpose. They helped give us an identity too, a real identity. An identity based on accomplishment rather than one based on, well, to be frank, based on tribe. And I think that we as a people have moved away from that. And I don't know when that happened. And I know part of it's because of how easy life is now. Compared to when I was a kid, life's a cinch today. I have the sum of all human knowledge at my fingertips. I used to have to go look this shit up in a card catalog to find the right book and pray to God that the library had what I needed. And I'm not saying that it's all bad. It's not. Actually, it's really good. It's good that we're able to get that information. It's good that we really understand different cultures better than we did. That we're more accepting of different cultures than we were. But it doesn't mean we haven't lost as something too. And I'm not suggesting that we just completely revert to 1980s America or 1950s America or the 1600s or anything like that. Although I play in the 15 and 1600s and it's rather fun. But I think the reason that people have really embraced things like CrossFit and the Spartan challenges, or they take one of those, I know that a lot of former military folks will what you can pay them and they'll put you through like 2 weeks of boot camp essentially, and people go and do this because they need the challenge. We need the challenge because that challenge gives us purpose. It gives us something to strive for, and I think we have lost our purpose. But more importantly, at this time, like right now, we all have a singular purpose. Stem the flow. Flatten the curve. Global 27 pet. Flatten the curve. That is our purpose today. It's kind of a stupid, easy purpose to fulfill because all we have to do is sit on our asses and wait for things to run their course. And I'm not saying that it doesn't make you go stir crazy. I'm not saying there aren't challenges involved. And I'm putting a big giant asterisk next to that slightly flippant comment for all the people who are on the line, because you guys are all working your asses off while the rest of us aren't. And to be fair, you know, you don't want us to, because that makes your job a little bit easier. So you're not completely overwhelmed. But we need that challenge back. And so, for those of you who are new to my channel, or newer to my channel, I am a Black Tiger. Black Tiger is a fencing school. Each scarf, black scarf, is an instructor. There's a set of ranks, just like a second global for 43 ped. Holy shit, that's awesome. Each instructor is roughly independent. There are rules. We are but the tigers aren't a house. They're a clan. I guess they're a house to be in the loosest sense of the term, because each scarf is independent. We each select based on our own criteria. We come from all walks of life. We have people from, oh gosh, I'm pretty sure we have people from every major race, religion, and political background. I'm pretty sure that is the case. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. There are guidelines that we have to follow, and outside of that, we do what we want. Or more accurately, we train the people that we're training how we want to train them. We are in charge of our own development. Individual responsibility is key. A third global. Oh, very nice. It's been a good night. That's like 100 ped, 127 ped in the last, what, 3 minutes? Mindark's being nice to me tonight. Guess they missed me. Tiger training is a year long. It can go longer if both the instructor and the student agree or believe it needs to happen, or if something happens like this, where we can't train right now. But the idea is that it's a year long. And at the end of the year, if both the student and the scarf agree, the student takes a test. That test is a rite of passage. It's 10 minutes. Under normal circumstances, it's 10 minutes in a ring of tigers. And every 60 seconds to 120 seconds, they rotate. The student does not rotate. The cord, that's what we call our students, cords. The cord has to stay in for the whole 10 minutes. The proctor rotates. The point is to push the student beyond their limits. Because at the end of 3 minutes, you start to get tired. 2 minutes, you're pretty good. 3 minutes, you start to wear out. At 5 minutes, you're tired. At 7, you want to give up. And you might try. I did. I fully admit it. I tried to accept, to quote Dan Crenshaw, I tried to accept Plan B. And then my proctor, who in my case was only one person, so he was in there for the full 10 minutes too, and we had just finished a 3-hour endurance tournament. Which he took first place, by the way. As if that wasn't enough to intimidate anyone. He didn't allow me to quit. He said, nope, keep going. And at the end of it, I fell on the floor. Actually, that's not entirely true, but I sat rather quickly and then laid down shortly after that. It was one of the most challenging moments of my life. That's after being a firefighter. No, you know what? I'd say that was probably the most challenging moment of my life. Finishing that 10-minute test. That includes being a firefighter. That includes dealing with car crashes. That includes dealing with suicides. Up till that point, that was the toughest moment of my life. I need to key in on that because there have been other events that were tougher to deal with. That was the hardest thing for me to accomplish. So let me delineate that. That was the hardest thing I had to accomplish in my life. To this date, nothing has come close. Except possibly jumping in the ring ACL, but I wasn't trying for anything. That was just get in there and fight and see how it was. The accomplishment I made there was going 2 minutes in the ring, just for the sake of doing it. And I didn't make it through the second round of 2 minutes, which I kind of regret, but then we found out my armor was like, inside of my armor, it was like 130 degrees. And it was like 120. It doesn't matter. It was so hot that I made myself sick. Either way. Something in me changed that day. It was like flipping a switch. I had been tested. I had been pushed. I had been disallowed surrender. And I discovered something on the other side of it. Because I wish I could post the video publicly. I do. If you watch the video, at 9 minutes something clicks. It's like a third wind. You're so exhausted. Like you're beyond nothing left. You're literally running on automatic. That's all you got. It's like you've got no brain power. There's no thinking involved. So you just let your body do what it's going to do. And in that moment, you discover your body knows what to do. Your brain sets to automatic, and you just go for it. That's where I learned that my limits are not where I think they are. I have not done a 10-minute round since, something that is to my detriment. That's going to be fixed once this is all done. But I discovered that day that true accomplishment, true purpose, a feeling of true purpose, comes with doing something hard. Do something difficult. Do something you don't think you can accomplish. Because when you do something hard, it gives you purpose. And then do something that is uncomfortable. More than difficult, uncomfortable. Like, learning to be a blacksmith is hard. But other than the occasional burn, it's not super uncomfortable. It's dirty, to be fair. Although there are a lot of people who enjoy doing jobs that are dirty. Now, blacksmithing is something on my list of things I would eventually like to learn. Unfortunately, I have not taken the time to do that. But do things that you don't necessarily have to do that are unpleasant. Now, start with a cold shower. I had to deal with cold showers for almost a year. Let me tell you, that can get real freaking unpleasant. especially in the winter. Take cold showers. Once a week, take a cold shower. And go for a walk in below zero weather. Camp in the winter. Something. Something that forces you to overcome an obstacle. And see where it brings you. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. As always, I appreciate the support. Have a great night, everybody.